Hey, my Travel Ones podcast today, I'm lucky to have Ringholz and Jonathan Spier of Plae. What's a little background about Plae?
Sure. Happy to share with Ryan and I can tag team here too, but Plae was started, just like it sounds from the name. We're so many of the brands out there have always stood for fight, compete, win, and they want to beat you up, and we saw an opportunity for a brand in the marketplace that was all about play. We think the world needs more fun.
I agree with that one. The interesting thing I thought about your company was you reverse engineered it from the kid standpoint, which most footwear companies, I don't know if any company that said, hey, what's best for the kid's foot, and now you're starting to get into adult, or you have been for a while, but getting into more of the adult line. Was that on purpose, or how did that start out?
It was. I mean, a lot of it just comes from the inspiration, certainly from a design standpoint, and speaking as a creative, and I think fellow creatives would understand this, is that there's a beauty in the mind of kids in terms of problem solving and ideation. Picasso famously said that everyone's born an artist, and the challenge is remaining one as you grow older.
Yeah.
And from that standpoint of inspiration, starting with kids is, and as Jonathan mentioned, with the notion around play and everything that goes with that in terms of your environment and with one another and with projects you're working on and concepts, it really makes sense to start with kids.
Well, and like I said, I mean, with my background, I know a lot of companies don't start with how does this affect a kid's foot, which is totally different and obviously growing, versus just making an adult size shoe and making it smaller and just going from there. It's a little bit different. Yeah,
and I mean, sheepishly, having been in the industry for a long time, I have to admit that, there's a mantra of shrink it and pink it when it comes to kids' product.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot of thought typically went into making kids' product, and so that was a real opportunity, but it also was a lead into the idea of inclusive design, and which is the notion of designing something for an extreme use case, an outlier, and then you end up making a better product for everybody. And that's very much been the case with us from the get-go, and leading into as we've grown and evolved as a company, as we do as kids into adults. That's very much led the way in terms of how we think about the product that we're creating.
Yeah. Now I noticed you have your factory is based in Vietnam. How often do you guys go over there?
That's a good question. Always more than we would like to. I think not because I love being there, but obviously the trek and getting over there is not the easiest.
Yeah.
But I'm over in Asia between 4 to 6 times a year on average. It can be more, but 4 to 6 typically.
Okay. And obviously that, like you said, that's what, a 20-hour flight each way, roughly?
Vietnam is a couple flights and then a long drive. And we're also in Taiwan on occasion because our sample factory is there. So it's between the two places.
I gotcha.
So unlike Ryan, I get lucky. I'm only there 2 or 3 times a year. And I will tell you, I love being there. I don't love getting there. It's always the same old story for all of us, right?
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, why did you choose Vietnam? I mean, there's Bangladesh, there's India, there's China, there's a lot of Cambodia. There's a lot of different factories that you could work from. Why did you choose the ones in Vietnam?
A couple reasons. One is relationship. The factory that we work with, I've worked with in past lives many times over the last, call it 2 decades plus. And so obviously relationship goes a long way, and I regard them as being arguably the best in Asia for what they do. And the other part of it is, we're certainly concerned about the footprint that we leave on the earth. And a big thing that isn't thought about is what's the energy source for manufacturing. And that's typically the largest component of impact in the world, and manufacturing is just where is the energy coming from. And, Vietnam has a very large sustainable energy component. A lot of it is hydro and solar and wind. And so from that standpoint, it makes a lot of sense to be in Vietnam.
Yeah, I knew the answer, but I want to make sure that the listeners know, because there are certain countries that we avoid, the company I work for avoids for the same reason. I mean, there are some countries that don't treat their employees well, and they're not as sustainable or earth friendly.
Exactly.
It seems like a lot of your products, and I don't think this was intentional, would be perfect and ideal for the business travelers. Meaning your stay lace makes it easy for airports, and then you have a lot of waterproofing, and then you even have your packables, which I thought all make perfect sense for people that are traveling for work.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a lie to say there wasn't some self-serving element in it.
You're like, man, I wish I had a shoe that was waterproof. I didn't have to untie at the airports. I could pack up easy.
Yeah,
that was, like I said,
specifically, yeah. Especially when it relates to the packable product, especially. I mean, how often do you go someplace and you're kind of stuck with the choice of which one do I take? And shoes can be bulky, and it's all about space in your bag, right? So getting one shoe that's versatile. You can wear it to the office, you can wear it out at night, you can exercise in it, but it also crushes down to nothing. It was just written up actually in Esquire this month as the lightest travel shoe on the market. That kind of stuff is for sure right up the alley of the business traveler or anyone else on the road.
That's what I was thinking. Like I literally just this weekend talked to a girl who was on the U.S. bobsled team, and she's going from her house in Seattle area to Lake Placid, New York, directly to Belgium, and then directly to Los Angeles, and then home back to Seattle. And so she has that issue of what shoe should I bring for the different weathers, and how much weight do I need to carry and everything else.
Yeah, and that was really the inspiration from the whole compression bag that it comes with, right? Because you squeeze in, the air comes out and it packs flat like a pancake.
Yep.
And that, as somebody who only travels with carry-on, I can tell you, like, it's just been amazing to have that product again for if nothing else, purely self-serving reasons.
Well, like I said, same reason for me. Like I was looking at the product and I'm showing my wife, because we were talking about a trip to Tokyo early next year, and we were just saying we want a backpack. We don't want to carry a whole bunch of stuff. And I showed her the shoes. I'm like, I think we just found our solution here. So it's a good deal.
I love it. Well, thanks.
Especially when you're doing one of the dual purpose trips. If you're going someplace for business but you're staying a while.
Well, yeah, I'll stop in Hawaii on the way, see my accounts in Hawaii, and then we'll finish the trip going over to Tokyo and then come back.
There you go. So it's you got to have packability and versatility, right?
Yep, exactly. Well, and amazingly enough, my wife's always available for the Hawaii trip. I don't know.
Funny that.
Her schedule just opens up every time. I don't even know when I'm going, and it's just open. So, I'm sure you have similar issues with your children.
Oh, absolutely.
One thing I was going to say is, now that you have trade shows, you have the Magic. I don't know if you guys go to Magic, but there are other footwear trade shows, and then you have your launch parties. You guys are traveling more than just your couple trips to Vietnam and back. How much other travel are you guys doing for owning a footwear company?
I'm comfortably 1K every year. That puts it into perspective. Like we were I was just in, I'm actually headed to Taiwan on Monday. I just got back from, actually amazing just to be invited, but from Necker Island, which is really hard to get to from California, especially San Francisco. It's 3 flights in a boat. So that's a trip onto itself. It's like 24 hours. I think it's like farther to get there than it is, in the Caribbean than it is to get to Asia.
Probably a little more
total
fun,
travel time. It is. I'll admit that. But then before that, we were in London because we just did this launch with Richard Branson, which ties back to the Necker Island trip. Where we're outfitting the entire crew for Virgin Voyages. So that was, the launch party at Fashion Week in London. So, that's just an example of the last, month and a half, 2 months. So a bit.
So losing track of Ryan, about 3-4 weeks.
Yeah, I don't know what date it is. What is today?
Exactly. The day after Halloween. That's all I know.
Oh, right, Halloween.
Yeah. So my next question would be, how do you guys balance family life and kids and wives and friends and family and with being gone so much?
Yeah, I mean, from my side, I'm fortunate to have an amazing support structure, and that includes my wife, and especially since she likes to travel herself, and so certainly there's places I'm going where she'd love to go, and obviously that doesn't happen frequently when it's business. But she's super supportive. Also, we're really fortunate to have. She's the youngest of 8,
Ooh.
and so they're all here in the Bay Area near us, and so there's an amazing support structure, and so that makes I'd be lying to say that doesn't make all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
I'd say from my end, we all, those of us who travel a lot, it's, if you love travel, you also tend to gravitate towards jobs where you travel, and for sure we're in that category. It's not a coincidence I'm on the road a lot. And, I think what makes it all worth it's the trips we take together as a family. And we did go over to Asia, and actually on 2 different trips to Asia, I brought my wife and our son, and fantastic to show my son the world. To see Asia, Tokyo, and Vietnam through his eyes has real thrill. Obviously, have loved all the travel we do over the years with my wife, and those times make up for a lot. It's quality you cannot replace those times.
I think I have 2 daughters. They both graduated college now, but even back when they were in high school and I was traveling, it was nice for them to come out and see what I do. So when I had to go, they knew. They knew I was driving 6-7 hours up to the Bay Area again, and I was sleeping in a hotel and moving every night, and even going to Hawaii, I have accounts on 4 different islands. So it's not like I'm going to, Waikiki Beach and sitting on the beach for 4 days. I'm literally going from Oahu to the Big Island to Maui to Kauai and taking my samples with me. And so when they get to go with me, they get to see that. That helps.
We had a lot of fun when I took my boy to the factory. They put up a big old sign and a photo of him on the wall, and a big sign, "Welcome, Max."
Oh, that's cool.
To see where Dad does work over there, but also just to feel all special. What a fun time for a 9-year-old at the time.
Oh, absolutely. That makes a big difference. The other thing, like for me, and I've talked to a couple of the business travelers, is when I'm home, like every week that I'm home, my wife and I have to do a date night, just to keep her, because I'm leaving next week, so it's just like you guys going, you're going to Taiwan. It's the same way. So it's like try and make the home time a little more special. That's just one of the things I've heard.
Yeah, no, I think that's critical.
Now that you guys, you're doing like major long trips. What do you fill your time with? Are you doing work? Are you watching movies? Are you listening to podcasts? Are you listening to radio? How do you fill up to 20 hours of travel time?
I think there's enough time for all of it. It's like a whole day, So it's like whatever you do in the course of a day. seen every movie, gotten every email done, a whole host of things. I think the big thing for me is I certainly as a the designer, I think it's really critical to be plugged into everything that's happening to the extent that you can be in the world around you, and that's a big part of that is just reading and consuming as much information and be it articles or whatever medium it is as you can, and a lot of times that ends up feeling not so much like work, but more just like something you feel like you need to do. But then if you're doing that, then you're neglecting some other duty that needs to be done. And so I find that on the flight, it ends up being a really great use of time to, just kind of catch up on all of that.
Yeah.
Without feeling like I'm shirking some work,
Go ahead, Jonathan.
I said I'd go modern and classic with the answer, which is to say I'm absolutely loving podcasts these days. It's just fantastic. Obviously being here, and being part of it, but just being able to, in small batches of time on the plane, downtime, listening to some information, learning about the world, hearing people talk, I think it's fantastic. And then the classic version, nothing beats a good book.
Yeah, which I see less and less people doing on the planes. It's interesting because it's all the kids are on their phone. And it's just the way it works. And then I see the business professionals with their laptops open. So it's just interesting. A book is a good thing, though. I wonder, how bad are you guys now? I find myself doing this all the time, but I mean, obviously, are you just like constantly staring at people's feet and seeing what they're wearing?
It's an occupational hazard for sure.
Right?
It's impossible not to.
Yeah. I'm obviously I'm the same way. It's like I'm always looking down. I'm always like, what are you doing? I go, oh, she's got look at those boots. I'm like, hey.
I'll tell you, Pete. Last night we were out trick or treating, as one does. We were walking out
yeah.
with the boy, and I barely have to glance anymore. So yeah, those are my shoes. Those are my and my wife's like shocked because it was a glance, a millisecond.
Yeah.
You just you see them going by, you can't help but to notice.
It's just what we do, right? Well, especially if you have your Abra glow in the dark shoes, those would be cool. Those you can
see down the block. This was twilight, so actually it's even trickier. But you bet that the glow in the dark will do it.
Exactly. What fun things you guys have coming up that you can talk about, other than going to Necker Island and meeting Sir Richard Branson?
That's pretty fun unto itself. I think that partnership has been amazing, and we're excited for the launch of it. I don't know that I'm overstepping and saying it. I hope not. But they're taking delivery on the ship, toward the end of the year, beginning of next year, and that's when all the crew will get the shoes from us, and so we're super excited about that. And I think the first voyage departs from Miami in April. So there's a lot of time between now and then with that, and so there's just that's going to be a really exciting thing. And so toward the end of the year, beginning of the year, we may have to be forced to go to Italy to oversee the unveil launch of the boat, the birthing of the boat, or whatever
terrible
champagne on the bow, or whatever they do.
If you guys are too busy, I could
exactly.
potentially fill in for you guys just for that trip. If you ever need to go back to Necker Island, I have a guest that had to. It's so weird because I have another guest that has rescheduled on me because he had to go to Necker Island, and then he was going to Nepal and doing a whole bunch of stuff, crazy stuff.
Yeah, the secret is that Richard Branson has it out for your podcast. He's like looking to schedule people, your guests, to go, and so they have to reschedule. That's just I guess I shouldn't say, but he was telling me all about it.
Damn it!
You definitely weren't supposed to say that.
Sorry.
Can't believe it, but now at least I know. Now I'm going to brag.
See, the question for us is, what did you do to him? What did you say?
Getting blackballed by Richard Branson. This is terrible. Or, excuse me, Sir Richard Branson.
Yeah.
I mean, on the other hand, congratulations.
Well, right? I mean, I guess it could be worse. There are other nights I wouldn't want to be blackballed by with, I guess. Paul McCartney, So what part of traveling do you not like, other than the 24-hour plane rides? What is it? Just the boredom, or just?
I don't know. For me, it's the little things. I think that there's things that even after all these years, are cause minor anxiety for me. And I think one of those things, like I have this idiosyncrasy, like I really want to get on the plane as soon as I can and just be settled, even if it means being there before everyone else boards, and everyone has their own little idiosyncrasies in the process. But that for me is like one of the things. Like I just want to get on the plane as soon as I can and just be settled. Then I can calm down. You know what I mean?
I do.
So it's like even though it's not like, obviously there's like the long flight and there's a lot of other things that you can get into, but it's little things like that end up being the bigger concern for me.
I hear you. I'm kind of the same way. For me, I need window seats, but most of my flights aren't 20 hours. So I mean, maybe that would change. I'm going to Denver. I'm going to Dallas. I'm going to Florida. I might have a 4 or 5 hour flight, but that's about it. So I like window seats, and I want to get there just so I can put my bags. I want to be able to put my bags close to me. That's it.
So we would travel. We would travel well together. I like the aisle seats, so it would work out well.
Yeah, we'll just put stuff down in the middle, like we're saving it for somebody. We'll be set. What's your idiosyncrasy, Jonathan? Do you have one?
As long as I'm flying the airline where I have status, I tend to be pretty cool about things. I may be a glutton for punishment, but I just enjoy it. I like traveling. It's even the airplane time, sort of some of the only time I have just to be absolutely by myself.
Yeah.
Which again sounds odd in a tiny little cylinder full of other people.
Yeah, I totally
noise canceling headphones and whether it's a podcast or getting some work done or watching the movie, it's I kind of enjoy it. And in fact, look forward to the personal travel. We just got back from a trip to Costa Rica as a family and go to Mexico at the end of the year, and so I think as long as I snag my airline where I have a little status, then can get a comfortable seat, and then everything else I'm kind of good.
That was what I was going to ask you. Do you guys tend to fly on the same airline, so you do rack up the miles? I mean, most do, but I know
typically. Actually, in fact, it's interesting. We just we have a group of friends who go every year to Jazz Fest, and schedules just haven't worked in the past, but we made a commitment to go this coming year, which would be April of next year, and we went ahead and booked flights, and it was on a different airline than I almost always travel on. Yeah. And that was very concerning. I'm like, what is this going to be like? I don't know.
I hear you. Hey, for me, I'm mainly pretty much a West Coast guy, so I fly Southwest a lot, and I've got my points and this and that. And my in-laws live in Las Vegas, so it's easy flights for my wife. But there are flights like going to Hawaii. They didn't have Southwest to Hawaii. Even going up to I had to go to Montana, so I had to take United or Delta, and it was just like you. I was like, oh, okay, I don't know the terminals as well. I don't know where I'm going in and out. Whereas the Southwest, it's just like, let's go.
Yeah, exactly.
As a company, do you guys are you mindful of the points that you accrue? As I guess I know the guys that go overseas for our company, they do it on their private, and then obviously they reap the benefits of the miles for the private stuff that the company pays for. So I don't know. Is that something you guys even think about, or is it just you got to go?
I mean, most of our travels, because we just need to get there, and so it's I for me, I think about the airline choice is kind of just that. You're able to get your window if you need a window, your aisle if you need an aisle. It just means you get there more rested and you come back more rested, and it's all just kind of better, for the rest of your week. So that's kind of my main driver, versus the whole points thing. Every now and then we'll do a company offsite, and we'll go someplace and we'll just cash in points on things like that. And try to benefit the points. That's kind of more our model. But also in our company, there's not a whole ton of travelers. It's really, just Ryan's team, in design and development, and myself. Being mostly a direct consumer company, we're actually these days not spending a lot of time at the shows. So it's really more the launch events and the different kinds of stuff we're doing, on Ryan and my side.
On your end, Jonathan, I was going to ask you about that, because you are a direct-to-consumer. And I mean, you have some brick and mortar with Nordstrom's, but I mean, I would think the majority of your business is direct to consumer. Is that correct?
Definitely, large majority, and that's how we started up. We were kind of one of a generation of companies that was born in this digitally native era.
Yeah.
And actually, my background's tech. I mean, the way I met Ryan has a long footwear background, but he and I met and really started getting excited about the future of retail. What's this going to look like next? Which with his gift for product and brand, and then together thinking about where retail's going. We launched online, and that's a huge percent of what we do.
Yeah.
And obviously, Nordstrom's been a great partner on the kids side, and that's important because kids grow and you want to measure their feet and all that. But really, everything else we're doing is direct to consumer.
And I know because my industry is similar. But we just had a boot company come out called Tecovas, and they're direct to consumer boot company, and they hit it hard. I mean, really hard. They were on ESPN advertising and obviously on social media, and they were everywhere for a while they got started. It was a big deal in our industry.
Well, there's been a lot of press about, no secret that there's a lot of change going on in the industry. And, that can be really tough, I think, for the established, kind of players who have, especially a lot of retail investment, and physical storefront.
Mm-hmm.
But, for the new brands that start digitally native, it's really, exciting time. You can put product out there. You can have a national audience from day one, even an international audience from day one. And, it leads to a lot of different kinds of opportunity. It's why partnerships for us, things like what we're doing with Virgin, those are super exciting ways to get the word out and all that sort of thing. But it does shift, where you spend your time and what kinds of things you focus on.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I was going to say, I mean, out of percentage-wise, what percentage is kids' business versus adults?
Oh, almost all of, these days, as you know, kind of in the industry, like kid is, generally a pretty small fraction of most companies. For us, because we started in kid, it's always, been stronger. It's going to be stronger.
Yeah.
But it really kind of adult has overtaken. And, that's kind of an exciting place to be because now it's not, a product for one person in the family. It's a product for everyone in the family.
Sure. I'll give you an example. Like 50% of our footwear is kids still. And then it's literally almost 25 and 25 between men's and women. And men's is a little bit heavier. It's probably about 30 and 20. But with women's being still very difficult to nail down of what women want as far as fashion boots. And
I thought you were talking in the larger context.
Yeah. But the kids are steady for us. I mean, we kind of focused on it, and kids always need new shoes. I mean, that's just the way it is. So I thought it was very smart that you guys did that. That's why another reason why I was excited to talk to you guys. So in the world of, you're a digitally based company, or what do you call it, native digitally or digital native?
Yeah. That's it.
You don't have social media influencers in the kids range. So, I mean, because I know a lot of the adult brands would try and tie on to a celebrity or whatever and get a social media influencer to wear their shoe and wear it out, that type of thing. But being in kids, that'd be a little bit different, I would think.
Yeah, it's been one of those things where we actually have a lot of big celebrities, kids who wear Plae Shoes.
Yeah.
But we've taken the line that the kids didn't sign up to be celebrities and have paparazzi, and we don't want to further that. And so even though there's lots of photos out there of celebrities, kids wearing Plae Shoes, we don't believe in promoting that. Which is obviously plus and minus. I think it's good for the kids. Not as good for us from a marketing standpoint, but I think that's the right thing to do.
Well, and as long as you get it out that you don't do that for those reasons, I think it could turn into a benefit. So obviously, anybody listening to the podcast will hear that. Well, I mean, you have to look at alternative things, right? I mean, as far as using influencers, or if you don't have your brick and mortar stores, you're fighting Amazon, Zappos, you're fighting all the other big digital companies for space.
Yeah. I think one of the big assets of being direct to consumer and digitally native in particular is it gives you a tool for engagement and interaction with your with your audience, with your consumer group, right? And so they become really partners with you in what you're doing and building. And so it's a very much of there's a simpatico in that relationship, and it grows and it's nurtured. And so in place of maybe having the exposure of a retail space, we have, lots of customers who are sharing and on social media their experiences with the brand and what they like and don't like, and then we respond to that, and then that creates greater engagement, and it really informs what we do in our strategy with a product standpoint and where we're going and what we can do better. And it's great to hear what people are really happy about too.
When you also have, I think the other thing you're doing is interacting with your consumers, especially with the kids, with the different customization things that you provide, with as far as the Velcro tabs and all that kind of thing, where they can interchange them, and that's kind of cool for the kids to have some kind of say.
What's come on recently that's been really fun is the ability for people to print their own components.
Yeah.
So we've launched pretty recently a designer tool where someone can go in and literally upload their own art, drawings, photos, and have that printed, and then arrive at their place pretty quick in the mail. And that's just been a lot of fun seeing the kind of things people are creating.
Because I know there's another very old-based company, Converse, that allows you to customize their shoes online. They have that tool. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but where they allow you to change it. And you guys, I think that's very cool for you guys to do. I like that idea.
Yeah, well, the fun thing, the really fun thing for us is this, we printed here in Sausalito, here in California, and so, to see the stuff actually coming off the printer and going out is pretty exciting.
Yeah, I agree. What's the best way? I appreciate the time. I'll let you guys enjoy your weekend, but what's the best way for people to reach out and see what you got going on and find you guys?
Hey, thanks for asking. That's a great thing to mention. It's Plae.co. It's really on our site, Plae.co, and happy for people to come check us out.
And on Instagram, it's Go Plae, I think.
That's right.
Is that right? And Twitter,
Go Plae on Instagram. Go Plae on Twitter or LinkedIn. It's just Plae, and Facebook as well.
Well, perfect. I appreciate the time, guys, and enjoy your trips. I'll be looking forward to seeing your pictures or anything you have from Necker Island, of course.
Well, thanks, Lee. I look forward to sharing a row with you when you take the window and I'll take the aisle, and we'll be good to go.
Well, yeah, only if we can get Branson to allow us to, hang out. If I can get off the blacklist.
I'll put in a good word.
Maybe if I'm wearing some of your shoes, maybe he'll let me.
There you go.
So I'll put in a request. I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for your time.
Well, thanks again, Pete.
All right,
thanks.
take care.
Fun.
Bye-bye.